All right, Nick, let's talk about the New England Patriots here for a second. This is a team historically has been excellent, dynasty, tons of Super Bowls, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, you know, anything you could want, you got it. Last few years, maybe a little bit of stumbling compared to their standards. Those are pretty high standards, but this is a good team at its core, Nick. And I think we have some stories here that are going to kind of talk about how they can get back to that former glory, some changes they need to make, and they are making them. But, talking about changes, things that can maybe make this team a little bit better. Patriots fans, I want to know if there is a position on this team that you think they could address, whether it's free agency, trade, or the draft. What do you think they should address through one of those options? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're down there, hit the subscribe button. It really helps us grow our channel, and it's just easy. Just click the button and cost you nothing. But Nick, what do you got on the New England Patriots?
Yeah, I think you nailed on the head there. I think at the core, the Patriots are a good football team talent-wise. Obviously, Belichick's a very smart head coach, and they got some smart guys on the coaching staff. But a couple of guys that we thought may have been smart but aren't is Joe Judge and Matt Patricia hailing the offensive coordinator duties, play calling duties, assistant offensive coach duties, whatever the heck they were doing. It wasn't working. This offense was a debacle. But one of the things the Patriots have always been known for is like keeping things under the radar, under the wraps. They hire coaches that are really offensive coordinators, for example, and they give them weird job titles that don't say offensive coordinator, right? They kind of keep things close to the vest. They don't reveal a lot to the media, obviously. And that's what makes this story, I think, really enlightening of what the Patriots are trying to do to fix their biggest problem. So this is according to the score.com. I'm going to read from the story here. The New England Patriots will begin interviewing candidates for their offensive coordinator role next week, the team announced in a statement obtained by Ben Volin of the Boston Globe. The Patriots didn't name an official offensive coordinator for the 2022 campaign, instead tasking assistant coach Matt Patricia with handling play call duties on that side of the ball. It obviously didn't work out. It was a real struggle for them. On that note, the Patriots also opened talks on a contract extension with linebackers coach Gerard Mayo, who's attracted both coordinating and head coaching interest around the league. And I think the big thing here is that the Patriots are recognizing both publicly, they're making a big vocal statement. I think this is actually probably a message, to the players in the locker room and maybe free agents and potential trade guys that say, listen, we know Patricia was a disaster. We know Joe Judge was a disaster, running the offense, everything they were doing on the offensive side of the ball didn't work at all. And we're going to want to bring in a talented offensive coordinator to have that job title, to be, fully clear the play caller, fully clear in charge of the offense, to kind of turn the ship around and get some of these talented young players, in some cases talented veteran players, playing up to the potential. I really like the Patriots kind of doing a 180 from what they normally do here, being very public and open and honest and direct with their decision-making process. Miles, give me your thoughts on this. What do you think the Patriots are doing here? And you agree with their decision and their process of how they're handling this?
Yeah, Nick, I think it's going to go a long way with the fan base to kind of publicly address something like this, because I think everybody was upset last year, whether it was Patricia, whether it was Judge. Nobody knew who to kind of point the finger at. They're like, hey, the offense is struggling. We are not doing well. I mean, there was a couple bright spots, but I think that was based on their talent alone. It had nothing to do with the scheme. The play calling was suspect at times, to say the least. But I think now that taking the approach like, hey, we know what happened last season. We also saw what happened on the field, and we are going to actually address it. There's no mind games. There's no nothing. We're looking for a new offensive coordinator, and we're kind of publicly putting it out there that the search is open. And I think there's people who would be attracted to that job because a lot of Bill Belichick disciples go on to be head coaches, and you at least get your name in the door. I can name a dozen off the top of my head that have gone around the league and had the opportunity to be a head coach. Whether or not they pan out is a different story, but that is on you as the coach to be able to pan out or not. But Bill Belichick disciples typically get a lot of chances, so there could be some young, hot upstarts that can come under Belichick and be a great coordinator. Nick, what do you think about that?
So I don't know if it's going to be a young, hot upstart like you alluded to. I wonder if they're going after a veteran, established guy, and the fact that's why they're being so vocal. Saying, "Hey, we want directly an offensive coordinator. We're going to start interviewing for an offensive coordinator." Because I think one of the Belichickian things he's done over the years, like I alluded to, is he hires young coaches and makes them de facto defensive coordinators, like Brian Flores was, for example, with his time with the Patriots. But he never really actually had the defensive coordinator job title. I don't believe he had always, maybe a linebackers coach, an assistant head coach, or something like that didn't directly say that he was a defensive coordinator. I think that's sort of been a Belichickian strategy to kind of, delineate the responsibility and the credit, either to like diffuse credit and responsibility, or to make sure no one gets a too big of a head or too big of an ego, or whatever his reason was. Obviously, it's been some level of success, so I don't want to criticize it too much. But I think when they did that, though, the problem is they didn't get a quality guy. Because if you're a quality offensive coordinator, a quality play caller, you want to go somewhere and be the offensive coordinator and be called a play caller. You don't want to be called, offensive quality control coach and assistant head coach in charge of, bootlegs or whatever the heck you would call these guys, right? You want someone, hey, I'm a good offensive coordinator. I want to be the offensive coordinator. And that's Belichick recognizing that in this case, his strategy of doing that didn't work because they got a crappy play call and offensive coordinator, and at least occupation as opposed to not necessarily job title and Patricia. So moving off of that strategy, they're going after a legitimate offensive coordinator. I think they're going after a veteran established guy. I think it's the right move here because at this point, I think they're trying to salvage Mac Jones's career because he had a great rookie year, took a step back this year. They need to get a better coach, better play caller around him. And I think they're heading in the right direction to do just that.